Hey everybody, welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. Today I've got the great honor of having Jorge Abreu with me today. George, say hi to everybody.
Hi everyone.
See,
to be here.
Just like old guys. But you know what? Let's talk a little bit about what George has done. He's been involved in investing for 14 years, and he started out with the single family. I think everybody's got to start there and get their feet wet. But then he went immediately to multifamily. He's gone on from there to do over 200 wholesales and 100 fix and flips. He's been building multifamily. He's been acquiring multifamily. You've just kind of been all over the place, man. Where are you at right now with how many doors are you in control of?
It's going to be a little bit over 2,000 after next month.
Nice. And where are you at on that as far as GP-LP situation? What do you have more of?
Yeah, so that's just GP. LP, right now I'm going to fall maybe a little bit under that, but I've got some new development on LP side too, so I don't know, it's pretty even.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Why would a GP get involved in an LP deal?
Passive income.
Yeah, but you're buying somebody else's, you're buying somebody else's sandwich there. I mean, doesn't your sandwich taste better? I mean, do you need to get involved in somebody else's deal?
I enjoy it. I like to see how other teams manage their deals. I've made some really good relationships and teams that I trust. I like to spread the love, and I invest in my own deals as well. And yeah.
Well, and I mean, that's the whole thing about multifamily, right? There's really kind of no wrong answer. And that's one thing that I love about the multifamily community is everybody's willing to help. Everybody's willing to jump in on your deal. Everybody's willing to give advice. Everybody's willing to coach. So to me, it totally makes a ton of sense as to, being in on other people's deals. Just my problem is, as a developer, I'm always so deep in my own ground that I can't seem to find my way out enough to have an extra 50 laying around. But, that's just, my wife says that's just my problem. Nobody else has that problem. So,
I'm sure there's others.
Yeah, well, we all do at some point, right? It's all the ebb and the flow. 1 minute you've got more than enough, and then you find two deals and you only got room for one. But you still try and swallow them both. But what's the part about the GP side that you like in the most? I mean, what is it you really just really gets you up and gets you revved up in the morning?
I mean, I've always liked transforming properties, even when it was single family. We have the construction company, so I enjoy changing the property, doing these massive upgrades. And, we just did a $7 million CapEx, and looking at the before and afters, I enjoy it.
That was in Dallas?
That was in Houston.
Houston, okay. So tell us a little bit about that deal.
That one was a 5-property portfolio, a little bit under 1,300 units. We closed it end of last year, and then started with the CapEx right away. We pretty much rebranded all the properties, paint, concrete work, roofing, a lot of HVAC, a lot of plumbing work. Started harding the properties, taking care of the deferred maintenance, making sure our existing residents were happy, and then we did several upgrades. We added some amenities, upgraded units.
So how big you spent $7 million on CapEx. What was the buy on that?
Total cap on that one was close to 90.
And so you raised what? You're raising 20 million plus CapEx?
22 million.
How does one go around? I mean, it's not every day you just wake up and go, hey, you know what, Sally, I want to raise $22 million. I mean, what's the process that gets you there?
Team effort, one. Definitely wasn't just me or not even just my company, Elevate. We had a couple co-GPs on the deal, and then we brought in a preferred equity partner as well. That helped reach that goal.
And how are you making these contacts? I mean, there's no yellow pages anymore, right? So you can't just, you could Google it, I guess.
It's a weird market when you're looking for preferred equity or JV equity. A lot of phone calls, a lot of networking, and just trying to get to the right person. There's a lot of brokers out there, nothing wrong with that, but they seem to put up a front like they're the actual straight to the money, and a lot of times they're not. So you got to be able to weed through that.
So when you first saw this deal, what made you think that you were going to be able to eat this elephant?
Just the team we had around us. So our main co-GP on the deal that we brought in, we found it. And then we brought it to a group that had experience taking down portfolios like this and had exited out of several of them. So we knew they could do it. You know, they've done it before and they can do it. So once we had them on board, we felt pretty confident.
That's a pretty heavy lift. I'm not real great at math, but if you got about 2,000 doors on the GP side and this was 1,300 of them, you definitely had experience, but this was probably brought everything you had learned in the 700 doors to light speed and took you to a place that now if it's like 300 doors, why do I want to do something so small, right? I mean, why do we need to add them 300 at a time? We can do them 1,000 at a time, right?
Yeah, it definitely does get you looking at things differently, for sure. And we do look at mainly bigger things now.
That's amazing. So then your company took care of all of the CapEx on the deal. I mean, rebranding it, painting it, getting all the contractors in there, keeping the schedule, flipping units, all of that kind of stuff. How did that? Now, you bought that last year?
End of last year, yes.
So you've been doing all this during COVID?
Yeah. That was throw that in there too.
Oh yeah. So we just sprinkle a little more easy sauce on this, and away you go, right, George? I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, $7 million contract on 5 properties. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, let's throw COVID in there. Yeah. Did that cause you any issues with tenants not being able to move out, or any of that kind of stuff?
As far as executing on the CapEx?
Well, I mean, your CapEx, you got people that you were planning on being out. I mean, if you're like everybody, you looked at the rent roll and said, here's kind of my roadmap of how I'm going to go into here and do this and do this and do this. And then all of a sudden somebody says, well, I'm not moving and you can't make me. All of a sudden you're doing something different.
Yeah, we did slow down a little bit on the turn upgrades during COVID, but we still had a decent amount of vacant units that we could work on. So we focused on knocking all those out, and then as soon as there were vacant units, we knocked those out.
Where are you at now as far as, I mean, you've got all your CapEx done. Where are you at on your occupancy now?
Man, it's actually 94 point something.
Because guys, George will not lead you astray. 94 point something is not 95, right? Yeah. Well, we can tell that you don't come from a Pentecostal background, because you would say between 3,000 and 5,000, and that's actually 3 people to 5,000 people, right? But when you're looking at something like that and you're seeing it not only get done, I mean, you're seeing extraordinary challenges come up, because now you've got COVID to deal with. You've got, unprecedented. Had you been 5 months later closing on the deal, you probably wouldn't have closed, or would still be trying to close. And now you're stuck. Now you're closed. It's almost as much of a curse as not getting it closed, because now you got to wonder, am I going with the CapEx? You pull all this off. Now you're sitting at a 95% occupancy. You're feeling a little bit like a genius, aren't you?
Yeah, right about there. We're working on the refi. Once that refi kicks in, I'll feel like a genius.
That is just phenomenal, man. So what do you got on your plate next? I mean, what are you doing for Act 2, right?
Yeah, we're taking a couple deals down now in South Dakota. It's a different market, but good market from what we've seen. So we're excited about that. It's a little different than what I'm used to. We've been mainly doing heavy value add, heavy lifts. This one's a little cleaner, B-class, still room for improvement, but just cleaner than the usual.
What was it that you saw in your first 700 units and all of the stuff back before that that gave you the feeling? I mean, I know this feeling, because I've done stuff where you take 15 acres of raw ground and you create a 180 unit apartment complex. But what is it in your background that let you know, George, we can do this? This is not that big of a deal.
Man, it takes a lot of self-development and mindset. You're constantly talking to yourself, right? And telling yourself things. You got to kind of be aware of what that is and make sure you're feeding yourself the right things. I could have easily been like, there's no way we're going to raise 22 million. What am I thinking? There's too many units. This is too big. But I made sure I tackled each day, saying, "Hey, look, I've put a good team together. We can do this. Let's get it done."
Well, and I'm sure your first phone call wasn't a yes.
Right.
You had to go through that, right? I mean, you had to figure out how you're going to structure it. I mean, this was a little bit beyond something you'd seen for internal structure.
Yeah, we got hurdles in there and in the structure and a lot of different things moving around. We ran into a couple obstacles. I mean, we had a $10 million check back out about a month before the closing. So that was interesting, to say the least.
Is that the word you really used, George?
Not at that time. Definitely not at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a lot of no's.
So, but that $10 million check, is he getting the status updates of your occupancy?
Yeah.
So he's seeing that wasn't probably the best thing for him to have done.
Oh, you're saying the one that backed out?
Yeah. We sending him the Friday reports, and here's where we're at. And sorry, that wasn't supposed to go to you, Dale, or
man,
whoever it was.
I gotta
just go. Hey, listen, man. I mean, I get it. Everybody's got their reasons, but did you really want to miss out on that gravy train?
Right. No.
It's a little ninja marketing, right? A little commando marketing. I don't know. It might work. It might not. If it does, it's my idea. If it doesn't, it's yours. So.
Well, I'll let you know because I think I'm going to try it.
But that's great. I mean, and so then you got a month to go. You think you got the whole thing pulled together. Now you just need half the money.
Right.
Kind of where you started this whole thing when someone brought the deal to you, right? I can just see you go 5 properties and see. I can circle about half of that. I can do half of this, and then the other half just went away. And gee whiz. So again, more positive self-talk, more getting back on your game, more going back to what you know.
Yeah, and hitting everyone back up. We had a couple other preferred equity partners that were interested, and we made it happen. I think we found somebody a week or a week and a half after that, and then kind of sped up their process. So
looking at it, I mean, that's been a 14-year ride. You started doing this stuff in 2006. Here you are 14 years later. You just took down 1,300 in one gulp. Is this what you expected?
Yeah, it was definitely part of the plan. It's a piece to the larger plan in mind.
So none of this is a surprise to you. Where you're at today, how much you've done, what you've got accomplished, not really a surprise.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's throughout my life, whenever I've decided to focus on something, I usually do it at a pretty high level. So no, I'm not surprised.
And the reason I ask it so pointedly is because most of the people that I talk to that are successful to this level, George, they don't doubt themselves. They know what they're capable of. And the reality is 97% of the rest of the planet is also. They just let this 6 inches lie to them about what they really can do. And instead of using it for what it's supposed to be used for, they use it to create excuses to run this thing so that they don't have to be accountable to it. Because once you say you're going to do it, there's a lot that happens next that you can't really get out of after you've said that, right?
Right.
I mean, once you told everybody you're going to do it, they're like, whatever. Half the people show up just to watch you burn. And when you prove them right, they're the next guys in line to be in your next deal, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think it's almost like we naturally talk ourselves out of things, and unless we become aware, it's not going to change. You got to realize it, and then, like I said earlier, feed yourself the positivity that, hey, you can do this.
What are some of the things that you do on a regular basis that keep you with the right mindset and keep you headed the right direction? I mean,
I'm a very strong believer of planning your days, your weeks, your quarters, and being very efficient with your time. I live and die by my calendar. And as far as mindset and keeping myself, I work out every morning. I think that's very important to how my day goes. There's days where I maybe don't work out and it just doesn't go the same. And keep telling myself I'm gonna be doing daily journaling, and I keep falling off. So I got to get back to that one.
Yeah, maybe take something from Captain Kirk's book and just record it. On the way home, take that last 10 minutes.
That might work.
And do it that way, George's date, start date 2741, whatever. But the thing that I, and this is why I love doing this podcast, is because I get to meet people like yourself. And as unusual and as rare as you are, I have a lot of guests that are unusual and rare, and they function at the same kind of level and in different arenas, but they all have that same thing in common, that they're taking care of themselves, they're positive self-talk, they're working out, they're making sure that they as a person are a priority, because how are you supposed to get anything done if the tool's beat up, right? And then from there, they are, once they're committing to it, they're following it through. I mean, you've got a lot of things in your resume here that we don't see, that were bumps and bruises and things that didn't go as planned. But I don't know that there's anything in your resume, correct me if I'm wrong, that you quit on.
Not that I can think of, no.
Yeah. I know of a couple things I probably should have quit earlier, but I kept going to prove I could do it, throw an extra $100,000 at it and see if we can't get this thing done, But that's also a common trait in people who are successful to your level, because you don't quit. There's wins and there's losses, but even losses, the postmortem will tell you that, hey, there was a lot of good in here. We learned a lot. We learned not to do that again. We learned to add this to our due diligence list, right?
Yep. Yeah, I always say, as long as you're learning something from it, it might have been a costly lesson. Yeah. But make sure you learn something from it for sure.
Yeah, I've got a PhD in hard knocks, and I think I'm getting a master's in a couple other things too. So, but so what do you? So you can't be this intense all the time, George. What does the rest of your life look like?
I'm family man. If I'm not working, I'm
daughters, right?
3 daughters.
You see their picture in the back, beautiful girls.
Thank you. If I'm not working, I'm with them, and I love taking them to their sports and just watching them excel, and yeah. I don't really do too much outside of family, working out and work. Yeah, no, I hear you. You'll find that, and most people that I know that are highly successful aren't, they don't do 1,000 things. They do a couple of things really, really well, and that's part of what makes them as successful as they are, because they're focused. They're driving it home. So what are you seeing, George, with everything that you learned out of COVID, with, you got a $7 million renovation you're doing on 5 properties. You've got, the government's telling us we can't kick people out. We got banks saying we don't care who you kick out, just make sure you make the payment. What did you come out of? We live in an entrepreneurial world that is more about what we can learn before they regulate it. What did you come out with that said, this is what we're going to do next time to keep ourselves from getting into a snafu here? What did you learn from it? Man, there was a lot of lessons throughout this. I learned that I think from now on, reserves in general is going to have a new meaning to it. You're going to want a pandemic reserve on your deals. But
yeah. I did see that the other day on a deal. A guy said COVID underwritten. What, everybody gets a face mask? What's the deal?
That's funny, man. I think there's going to be definitely some lasting effects and changes in multifamily in general, as far as I think things are going to be a lot more online and contactless, and I don't see that going away. It may not be 100% that route, but you're going to want to offer that for sure. Politics, I did not know that politics could change. So I never get into politics, and I'm not going to do that right now either. But
come on, George.
No way. I always stay far away from that. Yeah. But I learned that neither side really care, and politics to them comes first.
Right.
Some of the things I've seen done or not done just to benefit them. That's been pretty eye-opening. I'm not sure what.
It definitely has. It lets us know that we are still the little guy. Even at a 1,300 door takedown, you're still a little guy when it comes to the big wheel of government and how fast it wants to bring on relief or take it away or whatever. Yeah. That's it's not the American dream we were all raised with, you know?
Yeah. I still can't understand this stimulus package that, keeps being put off. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, it's all about making it somebody else's problem or doing something different. If you think about it, this is the funny thing, that if you think about government as a whole, what would happen if they actually had to compete? Right? I mean, there would be no competition, because by the time they got out of subcommittee, we'd have it built. You'd have it leased, you'd have it refinanced. They'd come out of subcommittee and go, okay, we decided what color we're going to paint it, because we don't have that luxury, right? I mean, how long did you know about this 1,300 doors before you had to make a move?
A couple days.
Yeah, and you got the time once you got it under contract to put the plan in motion and to move forward, but you had to move, and you had to move now. Mm-hmm. And then it's, put your money, your livelihood, your signature, your car keys, put it all on the line, because you're the GP, you're signing on that. What does it feel like to you when you pull this off? I mean, you got 94 point something percent occupancy. You've got it done. You're in the bag. You can see the finish line from here. Your refinance is underway. How's that feel?
Feels good. Like I said, I still want to get that refi finalized, and it'll feel a little better. But I mean, with all the craziness, and all this was a large value add that we were right in the middle of when this hit. So for us to be able to take it and execute, that'd be huge.
Well, George, what bit of advice would you look back on has served you the best over the last 14 years? What is the thing that you keep doing that someone's told you to do that's the best piece of advice you've been given that's gotten you a 1,300 door bite?
Yeah, it's an easy one for me, man. It's focus. Don't get distracted by all the noise. This advice came to me, I'm sure, several times, but the time it really hit me is when I was
typical man. That's how we learn, several times.
Yeah. I was growing my construction company. We were doing all types of residential renovation work, all types of new construction, residential and multifamily, commercial renovations, multifamily renovations. So everything on the construction side. Right, we were investing in single family. We were investing in multifamily. We had some holds. We were doing fix and flips. It was trying to do too much, not really excelling the most that I could in one aspect. So I was hit with that advice at that moment, and started making moves. I started getting rid of certain aspects of the construction or the investing, and till today I'm 100% focused on multifamily investments and multifamily, and we still do commercial renovations too. But that's it. Focused and growing that. So you had to get rid of the "Sure we can do that" logo, or that was your tagline. Sure we can do that. Now it's just George does one thing. And I use the phrase "stay in your swim lane." I've learned a lot of lessons about what I can't do or what I'm not as good at by trying to. Sure we can do that, and we can. But it just doesn't seem to work out as well because it's not in our wheelhouse. Yeah. Plus, you're pulling resources from whatever it is that you can do really well. Right. So, yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you've got that one trick, you only need to be a one-trick pony. You just need to do that trick again and again and again, and you'll be very successful. I've had several conversations with a large single-family builder in our area. He builds about 1,700 houses a year, and he builds one kind of house. It's this style, and he's got 45 different floor plans, but they're all low end. They're the economy version. Does the same thing again and again and again, but he's not trying to build luxury houses. He's not trying to build commercial space. He just does what he does, and he does it very well. Makes sense. I've heard that from many people that focus is definitely a strong suit of those that are very successful. So
So you've got a goal. Tell us about this goal. Tell my listeners about this goal you've got for next year.
So this was a pre-COVID goal, but it was getting to 10,000 doors by the end of next year. I don't know. I don't want to say I have to adjust that, but I'm definitely going to have to turn it up a notch.
You're just going to have to use more hours in the day, right?
Yep.
So 10,000 doors, I mean, that's, you're going to be buying everything that hits the market next 6 months, right?
No.
I mean, and that, does this ever lead you to a place of retirement, or is this just are you getting to the place where this is now fun and this is what you're going to do with the rest of your life because it's become a game?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't want to say I'm not looking to retire, but I don't know. I'm not there yet.
No, I mean, I've had the conversation many times about, when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And my wife keeps reminding me that while I may not, some other people in my house do, and they'd like to go somewhere nice. And if I would hurry up and do what I'm doing and hurry up and get done, then we could, Yeah. So,
I do want to, time management wise, and free up more of my time for sure. But to me, that's not really slowing down what I'm doing. To me, that's adding more team members and better structure to where I have more time.
Right. Because, I mean, at this point, you're kind of wearing a lot of the hats in there. I mean, you're running your construction company, you're fundraising, you're executing on the CapEx, you're the guy doing the due diligence. I mean, some of those can go to other people, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got it.
So let's just say, I'm not going to say that it's going to take you into 2022 to get to 10,000, but what's the goal after that?
It's funny. I just talked about focus, and then I'm going to throw this in there, but I think at that point you can start adding different companies or different that complement that many doors and give you more control. So, we've got the construction company, but I would like to bring in in-house property management at some point. And then there's some other companies that I would like to look into. Still focus.
Right.
But once you focus and you've got your, you know where you want to be and you've got that structured, there's nothing wrong with several streams of income.
Well, and that's, we do our own property management as well, but, we're always ground up development. We've always got construction going on. We started it because we wanted to have control of the job site, and we wanted both the tenant interface and the construction interface to be on the same team. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, we also found that, there's no better way to really knock your pre-leasing game out of the park other than to own that and to know that you've got, goals that are matching, and when construction schedules change, your team is with you on that.
Yeah.
And so we've always seen that, this is, an additional stream of income that you're going to give to somebody else, and you might as well have that whole setup be accountable, and what $10 a door or $20 a door does to your pro forma. Put yourself in charge of that, So we're going to see the 2022 version have property management along with another. Are you gonna take down another 10,000 after that? Yeah. There you go. Awesome. So what can you leave my listeners with if you're going to give them a piece of your own advice, not something somebody gave you? What's a piece of your advice that you would give to listeners that are in the game? They're thinking about getting in the game. They love real estate. What is it you're going to tell them?
So some investors just want to get as big as they can possibly get being a solo entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And then you've got some that have bigger goals and they want to grow a team and really take it to the next level. The advice I would give is to make that decision. Which one are you?
Yeah.
And don't get stuck in the middle. You're either one or you're the other. And if you're the one with the big goals, then make sure you put focus on that team and building it and structuring it from the beginning. Because if it gets bigger and you haven't done that, it gets a lot more difficult to start putting those systems and procedures and
You know what? That's such great advice. And I think the best part of that is knowing who you are. You know, if you're trying to do it all on your own and you're trying to grow big and you really don't want to, you want to be a solo guy, you're not going to find anything more aggravating than trying to put a team around you when you just want to go do it yourself.
Yep.
So, well, George, I really appreciate you swinging by. And just to wrap up, would you please tell my listeners where they can find you, where they can get some more information from you, where they can follow you?
Yeah. We've been doing quite a bit of updates to our website, which is elevatecig.com. That stands for Commercial Investment Group. So elevatecig.com. As far as social media, I mean, if you search my name on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, I hope you find me. You should find me.
If not, you'll be talking to somebody in that team, right?
Exactly. So I'm pretty active on those. And then last thing I'll leave you with, if your listeners want to email me at George, Jorge, at elevatecig.com. I've got a bunch of free content I can send them, due diligence checklist, and questions to ask a deal sponsor before investing, and some other things.
That's great. Well, George, I really appreciate you stopping by and being a part of our show. And for everybody that missed that, it's George at elevatecig.com. George, thanks again for stopping by the Real Estate Rundown. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I enjoyed it.